This next phase is really going to put my creativity to a test to try to figure out how I want this pair of hands to look on the piece with some lights inside. And do I want glow in the dark coming off the finger like resin? Do I want to paint a design like a twirly design, or something I think that I want to have it look like energy? And so coming off the hands onto the spine, which will be up and down the middle here. This is going to be my sampler, and so these things are very powdery, the plaster. So I went online, and the suggestion was just to do 1-to-1 water and Elmer's glue, mix it around, and then you just kind of coat it on there, and it fills in the gaps. It's more or less like a sealant, and I can already tell there's no powder. These have had 2 layers, and there's no powder left. It's very clean. I think I'll be able to paint with acrylic paint right over that. But going to start with this one and see where it leads, to get my ideas down. So it's kind of cool. Maybe I'll end up with 2 sets of hands. We can switch them off. Yeah. And what do we have here? I'm using the beam of light on the bottom that has different colors, but I wanted to display some type of sense of energy coming off the fingers. And originally I was going to do dots, and so I filled up the tubes, half full, and I was going to use one of those leather punching devices. It's like a stick that goes down and punches a hole, and then I was going to place dots all around up. So it looked maybe like stars or something like that. But in the end, when I took out the resin as it dried into the long strips, I thought, you know what, that would look really good if I just wrap it around, and it's going to be way less hard. So that was both a time saver, but also I like the look of how, you have the lower, which is the green, and that's energy that represents the heart chakra for growth and healing. And then I wanted to transition as we went up, because the energy changes as you get into the central nervous system. So there's a transition here from green to purple or violet, and then the crown chakra up here is violet, and that's what connects you to whatever it is you connect to. And so everything in between, to give it a little bit of that spinning look a little bit with energy. We're ready for the last major piece of creating, and that's to figure out a pattern of the hands that will have a pattern on the outside. I'm going to leave the white ivory, marble look on the inside, because when the light is flashing next to the spine, it just reflects really nicely off of that. And I'm a little bummed because I just painted over what I had on here before, but I kind of wanted streaks. I had some streaks of white on a lighter blue, and it was sort of copying the Avatar characters from the movie, the Na'vi, and then I had put in some glow-in-the-dark dots up the fingers. But when we put it up on the piece, it didn't look right. It was a little too light blue. So my wife recommended a phthalo blue, which is kind of a midnight blue, and I'll show you what we came up with, which was to do, instead of energy lines coming up or glow-in-the-dark dots, which looked pretty cool, but we came up with the northern lights. And so we did black base on the back, because that's how I learned it basically on YouTube, and tried it on her hand on the practice piece. And now I'm gonna try it with the darker sort of a midnight blue here and see what it looks like. And I'll show you. I did a practice just to see what it would look like. So I did a cutout on the hand, and that's what I went off of on the other side that I'm going to show you. But you can see there's some layers, some trees on the bottom. It looks pretty cool. The green and the white dots are all glow in the dark, so it looks fantastic when I hit the light on it. But we'll save that for later. So this was the first piece here. So that's Kate's hand, and you can see got the trees on the bottom. I did a layer of you know, kind of glow, light green of the northern lights. He even picked up this vein right here, which is cool. And then just sort of did different shapes, you know, up through here. And it looks great. But I think I want to keep the blue theme, so I'm going to try it with the other color on the back, and then I sort of flick some white glow-in-the-dark spots to make it look like stars. Then you dry that off, and then you do your glazing and just sort of take a fan brush and just bring it up like this to sort of give it that sense of like the northern lights coming off of there. So we'll see how the other hand goes, and this will be my practice piece. So here we go. Here's the original, and I think last video I did the undercoat with the phthalate blue, which is a little bit more of that dusk color, and I ended up doing, you know, kind of some circles coming up and around like this, just to see what that would look like. And I glazed over with a little bit of turquoise and purple to just make the sky look a little bit more uneven. Some trees on the bottom. So that looked pretty good, and wanted to stay with that. So I'll show you what I did, you know, on the final piece. You can see here, they do have some dots in there, and I added a few. Where I'm having some trouble is splattering the little splashes of white glow-in-the-dark paint to look like stars across there without making it look blotched. You know, when it hits, sometimes they splatter. So I've been practicing on a piece of paper here, and one thing that was suggested to me by someone who has suggested a lot of good stuff on this project was to take the paint and really thin it out. This is a mat that has water on it, so it thins out, but to use the toothbrush, and then I take the plastic spoon, and you brace it, basically, you know, you rub the spoon across here. And I was doing that with a paintbrush because that's how they did it online, but it really wasn't giving me the nice circles that I like. So that actually seems to be working good. And that's basically my next step for the final piece. So I have the white undercoat drawn in at this point on the hand, and I just made up some shapes. Some of them kind of connect, and you get it wet, you know, and then you put on the white stripe, and then, as you know, Bobby Ross would say, you just pop it up. Just pop it up. Just, you know, if that light wants to go up there, you just pop it up there. So that's what I did, and now then I will, I'm going to have to put the stars on, which I'm hoping doesn't look too splashed, but this new method should work. And then after that, I'll glaze with the turquoise and purple, and then I can put on the light green actual northern lights, you know, to give that some color. So there's one that connects all the way around here, goes up like this, and then I'm saying that one jumps back across to the other side. This is just kind of a unique one, you know, just for Kate's hand, and all these other ones sort of connect around, you know, back to the other side. Can't see it's pretty low right there, but that one connects almost like in a figure-8 pattern. It comes under here, goes up and around, and then comes back around. As I think it's kind of cool connecting. You can see how it follows one of the veins right here, and that's going to come back around and basically connect the thumbs together. So this is the base, and then this is going to look different once, you know, I add the glaze coloring and the actual light green, and then I'll put some trees down and through there. So hope it's going to pop. As you can see, the toothbrush trick worked really good. Now you can barely see these dots when it's not hit the black light, but I'm really happy with how it came out because the dots aren't streaked, and I had to peel a few things and take a little bit that had gotten, you can see like right there's a little bit, but it looks really cool under the black light. And this is between the thumb. I'm going to do the Hegu large intestine 4 acupuncture point, which is at the base of the first and second metacarpals, and that's one of the most common acupuncture points. It's a very powerful point. So I'll put I got my dotting tool right here. I'm going to put a pretty good size star right on each one of those. It's used for headaches, face pain, inflammation, stress. It's just a very powerful point, and you can massage it and it will help relieve some stress and headaches. But I want to add that on both sides. So I'm really very happy with how that turned out. What's weird is you can barely see the glow-in-the-dark stars, like I said, when it's not on the black lights. I think that'll be fun once we turn that on, when people don't know it's there. I made it through this final stage, and it was quite an adventure. So these are the pegs on the bottom of the hands, and I was going to do 2 on each side, but that became pretty quickly obvious to be almost impossible because the slant of the piece of wood it's going in made that super hard to line up. So I did this one first. I was going to do the sides. I did the center and just one. It didn't work to do it down the center here. It doesn't fit in my groove exactly right, but you know, I'm pretty happy overall with how it turned out. And then the hands, I don't think I've shown that yet. That's the left hand, that's me. And it looks great, and you can see lost a finger there on the other piece. I had a couple of slip-ups today. That happens. There's a little chunk that came off there. I'll be able to glue that back on. But yeah, the Northern Lights look pretty good there. And this is Kate's hand. And I didn't do a lot of trees. I kind of just kept it, you know, simple like that, more hilly. I sort of like it, actually. Not as busy, but good energy flowing up. That's what I wanted. So this is gonna go. Did some pilot holes up here. And that goes there. And that goes there. Put it in. Let's bring her around. Those slots fit pretty good. This was my other major mess up. Oh, so painful. I hit a stool on it while I was trying to get this piece a little higher so I could get it at eye level. I was working on it. Snapped the front part of the wave. I do have the piece and I can glue it, but yeah, you can see right there, there's going to be a white line through that, and it'll be easier if someone bumps that for it to fall off. But you know, I haven't made a lot of major mistakes. So here we go. So the hands, you know, there's, oh, whoop, whoop, whoop. Oh, that should be in a little better. There we go. That's a little better. I had a little bit better before. We'll have to work on that a little bit. But it sits there nicely. It's very stable with those 2 pegs. I guess I just didn't need the 4. That's so much easier doing it because I had to actually drill the hole on this side. I had to custom drill it out with my Dremel because it came in at a weird angle because of this. You can see the slant and stuff. Yeah. I finally got the base stained, and I made some little marks. Can't see them very well. Like right there. That go all the way around for the left foot. to go onto because I have sort of a precise placement that I want it to be on. And then here is the heel lift. These are the screws I use to put the heel lift on, and then there's some glue between the two. So I took these screws out because I was thinking on staining this piece, but then I forgot that I had glued it on there because it was so long ago. So I just left it. It doesn't look totally finished, but you know, that's the way it is. And so here I put some markers, and I'm actually going to do 5 anchor bolts. So these things are no joke, and that's what I'll anchor from the bottom, from the stand right through here. I had to get a drill bit that was quite a bit longer. So it's going to be standing by the end of the day on the cool looking base. This is actually the right foot. On my last video I said it was for the left foot, but it's the I had to make the pattern for the right. So you're probably wondering, hey, Big Tubs, how do you know how to line up these holes with the base to get it to precisely fit where you want it? And I say, hey, that's a good question. And so I'm kind of going on the fly, but what I'm going to do is my dotting tool, I'll put paint on the end of it, and then when you dot it on there and I set it down right over the circle that I kind of penciled in, when I pull it off, then the little paint marks will be there, and I mark that with a pen after I clean it off, and that should be it. So hopefully this piece will be exactly where I want it, you know, when we're done lining everything up and drilling. I mean, there's some pretty big screws. If the bolts don't go in totally straight, it could be a problem. But so I'm a little nervous about this piece of it, but excited at the same time because I'm darn near done. I'm sure a real woodworker would totally laugh at this whole thing, but so I'm using a depth stopper on the tip of that. You can see it helps it go straighter when you put it in. It will sort of straighten things out. So I'll drill with the smaller holes or the smaller bits, and then I'll go up in size. And then once those are done, then I can put it up against the bottom, you know, of the heel lift leg there, and drill a deeper hole that goes all the way in. Then the lag bolts go in. It's a little hard to hold the whole thing in place, so I lined it all up with smaller holes, and then I put nails in it to hold it while I was drilling the other ones. And then as the other ones get bigger and get a deeper hole into the actual leg, then I can put these nails in to hold it in place. And then I take the nail out, do a bigger hole, put a nail in here, take one out there, and so I'm just going to keep increasing the size until I can actually put the screws in. And we'll see. Well, I'm going to go with it. After several trips to the hardware store for trying to find the right bolts, I finally found these with little threads on the end but smooth in the middle. And you probably can't tell, but I used this 3M dual lock. I initially was using just regular Velcro and it wasn't working. So I ended up a couple different kinds, cutting out circles and then super gluing it onto here. Initially I thought I was going to just bolt the whole thing in, which I'm talking about the whale vertebrae, but I just, for moving that thing around, I think it's going to break if I don't have the ability to take it on and off. So I made 2 of these. It was pretty interesting, but so what'll happen is both of these will go in. So I have another circle of dual lock here, and then this will fit in. Let's see, like that. And then when I push that in, it locks in, and then that'll be on both sides, and then the vertebrae will be right here, and you can still move it around and these won't just come out. So then we go to move the whole thing, I can take these out and then just take the vertebrae off and move the piece around. So I'm going to put it on and we'll see what it looks like. So there you have it. It's on and it's solid. This one over here sticks out a little bit more, but I think I'm gonna try to paint that blue. But here I'm gonna turn it around, and you can see it wobbles, you know, a little bit when I turn it around. But that thing's not going anywhere. Okay, now it's on, and yeah, we got the whole thing on the stand. We'll give it a proper once over here later. Yeah.